In a previous video, I showed you how to set up your first power source on Lincoln Electric's CheckPoint production monitoring system. In this video, I will be showing you how to do some basic configuring and setup to your company. If you take a look at the top right-hand corner of your browser, you'll see a couple different options: Configure, My Account, Home, and Log Out. In this video, we're going to focus on configuring the company that you created. So if we click on the Configure button, you'll see three sections: Company and Locations, Equipment Layout, and Users. Company and Locations is where you can change any of the information about the company you've already set up. If your company has multiple locations, say for example a plant in Cleveland and a plant in Los Angeles, you can create a new location to keep those data sets separate. In the Equipment Layout section, you can organize your power sources and stations into containers so that you can easily map out what your plant looks like. In this example, we have them organized into some bays. So these stations are in bays. Here's a bay. Here's another bay. But we also decided we wanted to group our robotic systems together as well. So you can group it however you like, whatever makes sense for your company. Within each of these containers, or even within each of these production stations, you can set production targets. So these targets will be important when you're using reports that look at different metrics that use them. And again, you can set these targets on a container for everything underneath it, or you can do it for one specific station. Another thing you can set up is shifts. So for each location, you can set up shift schedules. In this case, for the Cleveland plant, we have 3 shifts, and you can see when those shifts take place. Now, we want our targets to be very accurate, so we also need to account for planned downtime. This would be an example of some planned downtimes you can have. So during our first shift here, we know that each day they had 15 minutes to clean up, so they're not going to be welding during that time, so we want to account for that, as well as lunch and maybe a stretching period. So whatever makes sense for your organization, you can set up those events so that your targets make sense. And then up here, to create your tree, you can add various things. You can add new power sources, just like we did in the company creation. Again, you would type in what you want that power source to be called, so maybe an asset. And then you can also set your targets right away in here. Usually you'll go back and set the targets afterwards, but you can also set it up right away when you upload the power source. Again, if you wanted to upload the power source, you would need to browse to that token file by clicking Choose File and then Upload. Once you click Save, you'll see that new power source and station appear in the tree. And one of the nice things is, if you accidentally insert the power source or station into an area that you didn't mean to, you can easily drag and drop a whole station or a whole container somewhere else. Say, for example, you want to move coil winding underneath bay 18. You would be allowed to do that, and it would just give you an overview of what is about to happen. So that's the equipment layout. Again, you can organize it whatever makes sense for your company, and also the targets for the different reports. The last tab in this section is the Users tab. So only an administrator would have access to this, and that's because they can add and remove users that can see your company or organization. In this case, if you wanted to add a new account, you would simply add a new user, input their first and last name, and then put in their email address. Now, when you hit save, that email address will get an email, and they will simply click the link to register their account, put in their password that they would like, and then they would be able to see the company. Now there's 3 user roles. Administrator has access to everything in the system, all the reports, um, the equipment layout, and the users tab. The equipment manager role has all those same permissions, except they can't see the users tab. And then a basic CheckPoint user can only see the reports. They will not have access to the configure section. In another video, we'll go back to the home section and go through all of these various reports and show you why those production targets are important.